Well, it's a very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back for yet another week of fun and games here at the Armed Forces Virtual Race Challenge. It's week 6 and we are here in Belgium, or at least the virtual recreation of it. And 2 races for you tonight. And it is just myself, David Christie, in the commentary box. But here with me in spirit is John Knight and my good buddy who cannot make it this week. But we are very much missing him here in the commentary box. A huge thank you as always to Mike Yao for keeping me company and bringing you all of the beautiful visuals that you're about to see tonight, including this. Look at this beautiful track pan of the glorious circuit here at Spa Francorchamps. So, the story so far, if you haven't joined us so far this season, where have you been? It's been an incredible season so far. A mixture of GT3s and GT4s taking to the track as the different armed forces all battle it out in their totally friendly, totally non-competitive way that we're used to seeing. RAF eMotorsports GT4 though leading the field as it stands in that team's championship. 80 points, just 10 points ahead of British Army GT4, and then it is RAF Motor Racing GT4 1 point behind that as well. RAF Motor Racing GT3 in 4th, RAF eMotorsports GT3 in 5th position, Royal Navy GT3 in 6th, RAF Central Fund GT3 in 7th position, the GT4 variant in 8th, British Army GT3 in 9th, and then it is Veterans GT3 in 10th position. But no surprises to see who is at the top of the Drivers' Championship, and I'm going to double check those scores. I think they've updated very slightly, but Craig Dunn is at the top of the standing so far from Chris Darnell in that GT4 class as we see qualifying underway. So again, the big thing to explain to you this season is this performance index. So the cars will finish in the order that they finish. They'll do their race. But how they get the points is actually a calculation. It's a mathematical equation based on their fastest lap and their average lap, and that ends up giving them a driver performance index, and that is how they score their points. And that's also how you see the GT4 at the top of the overall Drivers' Championship, because they are looking like slightly more consistent, at least for the likes of Craig Durrant and Michael Clough, who are 1st and 3rd in the Drivers' Championship. But 11 minutes gone in qualifying, so we tuck in to a really nice time in qualifying here, because this is now when the drivers are really starting to get their teeth into this track here. And you can see Chris Slater, just how fast this car is and how loose that car is coming up through Eau Rouge and Radion. It's along the Kemmel Straight, this wonderful long uphill straight that goes down to Lecombe, and then Malmedy, this sweeping right and then left again, and that is not quite how you take that set of corners there. That's going to invalidate the lap and be a little bit of a bruised ego for Chris Slater, because we caught that all on camera for him as well. But he'll get a chance to go back round and put in another lap there as well. And then just watching as we see it currently at Tom Stevens pole position on this 4.352 mile circuit, 220.59. That is just 3/100ths of a second, 220.28. that's 3/10ths of a second faster than Matty Isherwood. And we also see Ryan Martin in 3rd, James King currently in 4th position, with Chris Pollitt and Chris Boland in 5th and 6th position. Now Chris Darnell is who we have to have a look for, currently down in 8th position, 2nd in the championship with 103 points after taking those 11 points last time out. It was Craig Dunn who scored nil points in that last race there, race 10 out at Brands Hatch Indy, and it was a horrendous week. It was a week to forget for Craig Dunn. He did his best to try and minimise the damage but it really just wasn't to be in that week for him. But back out in front in that GT4, ahead of Michael Clough there, 1.925 seconds, and then it's Duncan Steele in third for the GT4s, with Dan Hardwick in fifth position. But look at that, Adam Barron sneaks up into second place there. But yet again, a considerable gap between the rest of the GT4 field and Craig Dunn there. Matty Isherwood on pole position now from Tom Stevens. We missed that while we were looking at the GT4s there. 5/100ths of a second ahead of Tom Stevens there, as we've got 6 and a bit minutes left to go here at Spa. But this is coming down through Double Gauche now, and excuse me, sorry, that's through Bruel, and now he's going to be on the run down to Double Gauche. That double sweeping left-hander again. You want to be greedy. You want to try and take as much speed through that corner as you possibly can. But it's a very, very difficult challenge, because you take too much in and you've got to be outside of track limits and picking up a penalty point. Through Lafania, the right, then the left, again on the run down towards Campus and Stavolo, a double right-hander. This is one that I absolutely love, that right-hander at Campus, because it just opens up, and then I always get Stavolo wrong, end up going too wide on the left-hand side and botching up my lap. And then on the run down to Blanchimont, this is the wildest corner for me on the circuit. You've obviously got your Eau Rouge and Radion, but you get a group of cars, a pack of cars coming tearing down the back straight here, and Blanchimont is a very, very scary sight indeed. On the brakes into the final chicane then, no longer called the bus stop chicane, and then it's going to be across the line to get a lap in. Now what can Matty Isherwood do? 220.177. That, my friends, is a lap and a half, and 4 minutes left to go in qualifying. Going to be very lucky to find anyone that can get past that one. Dan Hardwick, though, trying to improve his position, currently down in fifth in the GT4s. And just looking at that GT3 battle, actually, that unbelievably is 10 cars within 2.8 seconds. So that is a fairly close battle, up to about, I would say, 6th position, with Chris Pawley, who's 1.26 seconds just behind the leads. And we'll get a listen to the roar of this GT4 from Dan Hardwick. I do love the GT4s. They're like the Scrappy-Doo of GT cars. They're so small, and they really want to try their very, very best. They're like little pretend race cars. They scream and shout their little heads off, and they are so much fun to drive. Certainly since they've done all the updates on this Porsche Cayman GT4, it is a joy to drive. The GT3's getting that 992 Cup car. Somewhat less of a joy to drive. That is a whole different experience, and I'd love to hear from the drivers tonight just how sketchy that car is, taking it down and then up through Eau Rouge and Radion, because that is going to be a wild experience. But 2 minutes left to go in the qualifying, then 2 and a bit minutes. Matty Isherwood then still 220.177. Now he has decided to take an outlap, so he is going to try and have another bite of the cherry here. But Tom Stevens in that second place, with Ryan Martin in third, and I'm seeing one of the I think that is one of the GT3 cars just tucked in behind Dan Hardwick here. Now Hardwick was already on his lap, so that's not going to affect the GT3 car, other than maybe distracting Dan a little bit in that RAF Motorsports GT4 machine. But now that is again no surprise to see Durant in the 83, and again a pause of breath there to see that British Army GT4 machine so far ahead of the field. It has been an insane season for Craig Durant there. Leaps and bounds. I'm almost at a loss for words, for superlatives to describe how Craig has been doing this season. you know, it has to be a move up into the GT3s next season if this is the format that the AFVRC decide to keep on. It's been a wonderful, wonderful baptism of fire for them, because they moved over from the MX-5s into these GT machines, and yeah, they've had an absolute blast. We've had thrills, we've had spills, and we've got many more left to come. As I said, with 5 weeks left to go, including this one here, it really is all to play for right now, because after this we move to Silverstone, the home of British motorsport, not once but twice over the next month. We head to Snetterton as well, and then back to Brands Hatch for the season finale, and that will be an epic race, or set of races taking part on that GP circuit. Just watching Matty Banyard here for British Army GT4, currently down in 9th position. Now, Matty has had a lot of pace over this season, so I would expect to see him, if he gets that dialed up, around about 5th place there. But again, just to prove that point about Craig Dunn, 1.3 seconds ahead of Michael Clough, and then you've got Adam Barron, Luke Arpino, Duncan Steele and Dan Hardwick, separated by absolutely nothing, maybe 1.8 seconds between them all. But back up at the GT3s, it's looking very, very safe for Matty Isherwood. 220.177. Now, great to see Lindsay Noble out in that Veterans GT3 machine. It's been a difficult season for Linda. Really struggled with the performance and some really horrendous luck. I mean, if there's been bad luck or an incident, somehow that car of Linda Noble has been magnetised to the scene of it. But again, some good performances due for that machine and for Linda herself. So great to see, still sticking in there and still keeping things going. Qualifying has gone then. The checker flag flies. Matty Isherwood looks to have taken pole position as Steve Ward comes round to finish his lap as well. So Matty Isherwood takes the checkered flag then. Tom Stevens looks like in 2nd place. Again, this is provisional because there's cars, and that is a huge hit for Steve Ward. That was a car going up through Eau Rouge and Radion there and just absolutely lamping the side of that car. That is a very, very scary moment, as you can probably imagine from that one there. But watching James King here in the number 23 RAFE Motorsports GT3 machine, currently in 4th place, just 5/100ths of a second behind Ryan Martin in that number 85 machine on the 2nd row of the grid. Now, this is looking smooth. This is looking very, very stable, and I think I've just jinxed it. Yep, that's what's happened there. We've complimented him on how smooth and calm he's looking, and then he just decides to go a little bit too wide out of campus there. So yeah, not the best. But Dan Hardwick then, probably one of the last cars out on track, able to make any improvement there. Realistically, you're going to be looking at 3rd, 4th or 5th position with Dan Hardwick out the final chicane. Boots that GT4 into life here. What can he do as he comes across the line? And the answer is he moves up into 5th position. It's an improvement, only slightly, but still an improvement to take that position away from Duncan Steele. So there we go. Qualifying is in the books for our first race tonight. Remember, we've got a reverse grid race for race number 2. Matty Isherwood taking pole position alongside Tom Stevens. So that is another fantastic result in for the RAF Motor Racing GT3 driver alongside that Royal Navy GT3 number 89 machine. Ryan Martin is going to start in 3rd position. James King is going to be in 4th. And then on row 3 is going to be Chris Bolland with Chris Pawley. Then in 7th and 8th on row 4 is going to be Chris Darnell and Dan Berris. Chris Slater and Stu Etic in 9th and 10th position on row 5. Row 6 is going to be Harry Gardner. Now, Harry really has been having a horrible run of luck. Was very much a front runner towards the start of the season, but just been having a horrendous couple of races here. Colin Scott in 12th position there on row 6, and then at the back on row 7 is Ben Weston and Linda Noble. On to the GT4s then, and Craig Dunn is going to be alongside Michael Clough with Adam Barron and Luke Arpino on row 2. Row 3 is going to be Dan Hardwick and Duncan Steele. Row 3 is going to be James Fielding and Steve Warden, 5th and 6th position respectively. And on row 4, Dave Russell, Michael Tate, and at the back of the GT4s, car number 25 out of 25, the number 125, Matthew Banyard in that British Army GT4 machine. So here we go then. We get ready to go green. The cars are making their way round now, and what a race we have got in store here as the session moves over. And the cars starting to get themselves onto the grid. Confirmation then of what we were talking about on the grid. Matty Isherwood on pole, Tom Stevens in second place, Ryan Martin and James King in third and fourth position, Chris Bolland and Chris Pawley 5th and 6th, Chris Darnell and Dan Berris 7th and 8th, and then on row 5, Chris Slater and Stu Etic, Harry Gardner and Colin Scott making up row 6. And then on to row 7 is going to be Ben Weston and Lyndon Noble, both in those veterans GT3 machines. On the GT4s again, Craig Dunn. No surprise really to see that British Army GT4 machine up at the front, but it's great to see Michael Clough up there as well for the RAF Motorsports GT4 machine. Adam Barron and Luke Arpino, they are no strangers to the podium, no strangers to the top step either, but they are in a good position on row 2. Dan Hardwick and Duncan Steele on row 3, James Fielding in 7th, Steve Ward in 8th, Dave Russell and Michael Tate in 9th and 10th position, and Matty Banyard at the back of the GT4s in 11th place. Just a reminder of the Facebook page there. You saw at the bottom, facebook.com/RAFE Motorsports. Head over, give the page a like, and as always, like and subscribe the YouTube channel if you very much like. It would be very much appreciated, and there's lots of awesome RAFE Motorsports content. So we've got a bit of a shorter pace lap. We don't need to worry about there not actually being a pace lap like we did just a couple of weeks ago, where we accidentally had a standing start and quite frankly all hell broke loose with the GT4s. But the GT3s get going underway. Matty Isherwood and Tom Stevens going to lead them around. The GT4s are going to get their way as well. And we are ready for the first of our 2 races tonight. 15-minute race is what we have on the cards first off, and then we have another 15-minute reverse grid race that will be drawn by our magical mystery wheel of... I was about to say doom there, but the second races aren't always that bad. Definitely worth a look. Right, pace car peels in, and just like that, we're primed and ready to go. Matty Isherwood and Tom Stevens get ready as they come 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 in the GT3s. You can see picture in picture. The GT4's ready to go, and away we go already. And there you go. That is a start and a half for Matty Isherwood. Tom Stevens caught napping, because have a look at that. James King is up the inside of Ryan Martin there. They all make their way round that first corner here and get themselves going. Now this is the pressure point here. Have a look at this though. This is something we're not used to seeing. Michael Clough takes the lead from Craig Dunn here, and Craig Dunn picked out into second place. So for the second week in a row, Craig Dunn well and truly on the back foot there. That is a move and a half, and that is huge for the championship. You can see picture in picture though, the GT3s all come streaming down the Kemmel Straight here. Keep an eye on Craig Dunn today, because he is going to have the run on to Michael Clough there. Quite honestly though, Clough's gone. Clough is checking out already, and this is fantastic stuff to see. Back to the GT3s though. Matty Isherwood from Tom Stevens, from Ryan Martin, James King, Chris Bolland, Craig Darnell, and then you've got Chris Pawley and Chris Slater in there as well. And it's been a remarkably good start to this race from everyone across the field here, watching that GT4 battle picture in picture. Again, a huge thank you to Mike Yao for giving us the awesome pictures there. And you can see going down the order there, that's Chris Bolland, who has come into to mischief there. And up the inside, there goes Craig Dunn then to take the lead of the race and absolutely leaves Michael Clough with no room whatsoever. Clough's not having any of it whatsoever. You can see the 87 there of Chris Bolland just coming into the picture there as well. And this is the problem, because have a look just behind. That is one of the GT3s. That's Darren Beres that's caught there. And we've got a car off to the left-hand side. Is that Chris Pawley that is off to the left-hand side there? We'll double-check that in just a second. But that is actually Lyndon Noble who is off to the left-hand side. And there we go. So through the final chicane then go your GT3 cars. But GT4s, and that is a very, very... What has just happened to Craig Dunn? Oh, there we go. A little bit of a connection issue there. My heart absolutely stopped as we saw Craig Dunn disappearing. And have a look at this. He is absolutely giving it right now to Colin Scott. Colin Scott in the much faster GT3 machine. And this is what happened to Lyndon Noble. Very easy mistake to make. That's on the exit of Lafania. Just, again, clipping the curb on the right-hand side. The cold tyres sends the car straight into the barrier. And Lyndon Noble will be able to rejoin without too much issue nonetheless. So we see that Colin Scott has gotten past Michael Clough, but have a look at Michael Clough now. He is under intense pressure, I believe. Is that Luke Arpino that is just behind him? We move away to James King, who's got Chris Darnell just behind him as well. So it's been a frantic start to the race. And while we see the likes of Craig Dunn streaking away and getting a second lead already, Matty Isherwood up in the GT3s, he's not had so much luck. 0.5 of a second ahead of Tom Stevens and Ryan Martin just now, and we're barely halfway through lap number 2 as well. Such is the energy that these drivers have got for this championship. This is why I absolutely love this type of racing here. Michael Clough, though, starting to bring that gap down to your GT4 leader just now in a big, big way. That was about 1 second. That was down to 0.4 of a second very, very briefly, as we keep an eye on James King, who is stalking the back end of Ryan Martin right now. So that number 85 machine is going to have the RAF Central Fund GT3 mirrors full of that blue number 85. And the blue number 23 of James King. I am very, very curious to see how this one is going to pan out. Patience is going to be the better part of valour for these two here. They're going to have to wait their time and just hopefully make the move when it is appropriate to do so. But it's sim racing, and that almost never happens, ever, ever, ever. Certainly you can see James King getting closer right now to Ryan Martin. So just starting lap number 3 here. It's still Matty Isherwood in the lead. There we go. James King makes the move up the inside in towards turn number 1 into La Source, and out on the outside goes Ryan Martin. That was a textbook move there. Beautiful, beautiful stuff there. And James King takes that final step on the podium as we hit 1/3 race distance just now. 5 minutes out of the 15 done. And there we cut back to Craig Dunn, who is now under huge pressure. We've not seen this all season. It's been brand hatched, and we've seen the chink in the armour of Craig Dunn here, because Michael Clough all over the back end of them. And now we've got side by side coming down into Lake Coombe. There goes Ryan Martin taking that 3rd place back, saying thank you very much. That fight is going to go on for the rest of the race, you better believe it. And Michael Clough getting a great exit out of Radion onto the Kemmel Straight. This is going to be side by side down the Kemmel Straight here. And Craig Dunn, for the 2nd week running, is absolutely rattled. He has got huge pressure that he's not had to deal with. A little bit of a move to the left-hand side, trying to force Michael Clough to go the long way round here into that corner there. They're so close. A little bit of contact there onto Craig Dunn there. Forces that car off onto the right-hand side there. Manages to regain it very, very quickly. But elbows out, and this is starting to get a little bit fighty. I'm very much liking this, because we see the battle developing. You see these things happening over the season. And it's these little bits like that, these little altercations that very, very quickly build into something quite dramatic, as we see the GT4 there trying to get involved, and now the GT3 splitting up those two leading GT4 cars. So Michael Clough getting a little breather of relief there, and finally gets that GT3 out the way. Is that a slowdown for Michael Clough? The very, very slow for Michael Clough there, and now Craig Dunn is really, really harassing again that number 22 car here. So yet again, swings and roundabouts, and we're about halfway through this first race of the evening. Remember, 2 15-minute races we've got coming up for you tonight. Already halfway through the first one. This is back to James King then, going up side by side into turn number 1. Tries to go around the outside of Ryan Martin. Ryan just making that car exactly as wide as it needs to be. They roll down the hill towards Eau Rouge and Radion for the fourth time of asking. Meanwhile, your race leader, Matty Isherwood, out there in front. Tom Stevens at about 1.1 seconds behind there. And then you've got this little battle here. I'm still keeping my eye on that GT4 battle, so you won't miss anything at all. And look at this, here comes James King. He's got that toe, he's got that run up the Kemmel Straight. Is he going to make a move? I don't think he is, you know. Oh, he is! And Ryan Martin, right at the last, blocks that move off and make sure that James King can't get past, and that's a wise move. And Clough has got past Craig Dunn again. So Dunn down into second place for what looks like the third time in 4 laps. So Dunn under real pressure tonight, and this isn't going to be doing his consistency indexes all that much good as well, because the more he's fighting, the more time that he's losing to that car in front. So Michael Clough is laughing himself all the way to the bank right now as they come down the Kemmel Straight then. We've just got about 6 minutes left to go in this race, or we will do in about 30 seconds time. And this has been a classic. As up the inside there, tries to go Craig Dunn there. That is through Lecombe and through Malmedy. But again, that's just never going to work. And Dunn really starting to harass that car in front. Let's have a look at what happened to the RAF Central Fund GT4 car of Michael Tate, and that is through Lefania. And yeah, that's not the best. It's no harm really, but yeah, not great. Meanwhile, this battle is just so intense. These two will be absolutely loving it. I can absolutely guarantee when we get these two drivers in the post-race chat, they are going to be grinning from ear to ear. Durant makes a move up the inside there, but it's not happening. Clough again just placing that car exactly where it needs to be. Now that is going to distract Clough slightly, seeing that car behind him of Craig Dunn just disappear ever so slightly. Matty Banyard on the recovery drive, who was down in last position there. That is so close. Matty Banyard on the recovery drive, and yeah, that's oh my goodness me. I got told from our broadcast director Mike Yao to keep watching. I didn't expect that. I'm going to be honest, I didn't expect that to keep on going, but it did. And Matty Banyard, well, yeah, that's the less said about that one, the better. 0.2 of a second still between James King and Ryan Martin. James King takes that final step of the podium. We've got 5 minutes left to go, and look at this, Michael Clough still in the lead of Craig Dunn, and look at the battle behind as well. Luke Arpino on Adam Barron. This is just action non-stop all the way through the fields, and I'm getting to the point I've got no idea what to keep an eye on. Here we go to another replay. This is of Matty Banyard, another instant. Oh, that is a big hit into the wall. Matty is if that controller goes flying out the window tonight, yeah, don't be surprised. Right, wow, this is absolute madness. Is that GT4 car getting lapped already? Goodness me. Right, Michael Clough ahead of Craig Dunn here, and the thing is that Dunn, excuse me, it's the other way about. Dunn is ahead of Michael Clough, so Clough tries to take that move on Lecombe there. That is insane. The level of respect and the level of control going on from these drivers here as Clough has a look up the inside. Dunn has to give him the space. That car's already there, and Dunn is going to get a better exit out of this corner. This is incredible. If ever you wanted a poster for the action and the intensity of the AFVRC, this is it. This past 5 minutes have been absolutely incredible. Craig Dunn, though, in the lead of this GT4 battle. It's still Matty Isherwood from Tom Stevens, from James King, Ryan Martin. It's then Chris Darnell, Chris Pawley, Chris Slater and Dan Berris. Here we go though, Chris Pawley having a look up the inside of Chris Darnell. Thinks better of it down into the chicane. Not this time. And we are going to have around about 2 laps left to go in this race. I don't know about you guys at home, but I am definitely going to need a little lie down in the dark room after this first race. It has had everything you could possibly want. Paulie fires it up the inside into Le Source, gets a good exit as well, and that leaves Chris Darnell vulnerable as well to Chris Slater just behind. Back to the GT4s then, and it's still Craig Dunn ahead of Michael Clough by just 0.4 of a second. You can see here Ryan Martin getting that position from James King. They're still duking it out as well. But if I'm honest, I think Craig Durrant might have the upper hand here. He's opened up a little bit of a gap there to the car behind of Michael Clough. 0.8 of a second, now 1 second as they come across the line. But we go picture in picture, and you can see that battle still. Ryan Martin and James King, 2 minutes left to go in the race, and this has been easily one of the best races of the season. I've got to be honest, I'm so sad for John Knighton, my good buddy, who can't make it with us tonight. Of all the races for him to miss, this has easily been one of the best that we've had. So difficult to see Stu Etic down there in 9th position as Chris Slater has a look on Chris Darnell, but again it's not going to happen, and Steve Ward decides to absolutely send it up the inside there, and is trying to fend off that position. In fact, that is not for position, is it? That is Steve Ward ahead of Fielding, who he's just made that move on. So James Fielding loses out to Steve Ward here, but a minute and 10 seconds, a minute and 15 seconds left to go here. This is the battle in GT4's. Lou Carpino onto the back of Aaron Barron, 0.4 of a second. It's getting very, very tight, very, very nip and tuck up there at the front as well. That gap come down from Michael Clough as well. That was a second, remember. That's down to 0.7 of a second. Little flash of lights from Luke Carpino. I've got no idea what he's intended by that. It's obviously just to try and distract the car in front of him of Adam Barron. Back with Ryan Martin then as we go what can only be presumed as the final lap of the race. This is going to be it then. Matty Isherwood is going to be on lap number 6, and that is going to be all she wrote right now, because that gap to Tom Stevens, 2.6 seconds. So barring any huge incidents, that is looking very, very good for Matty Isherwood as he comes round the right-hander onto the Kemmel straight then in towards the braking zone. But back to this battle, and this is just amazing stuff. This has been going on for the entire race. Ryan Martin, James King duking it out side by side into Lecombe. King tries to outbrake Martin on the outside of the corner. Martin's like, not a chance, son, not a chance. Keeps on to that 3rd position, and we make our way down towards Bruel then for the final time of asking here. Keeping an eye on that GT4 battle as well. Clough now 0.3 of a second, so very, very close now to Craig Durrant there. We'll have to keep our eyes on that and see what exactly is happening between those two. But have a look at James King. This is quite possibly the closest he has been to that GT3 Cup car in front of him for the entire race, and he's waiting. You know now from the way that James King has been, he is waiting for Blanchimont. It is just a case of staying with that car in front. Meanwhile, Matty Isherwood coming through to the final section of the circuit here, coming through towards Blanchimont and coming up towards the final chicane very, very shortly. Chris Bolland has a bit of a moment there. You can see coming out of Stavelot then is your race leader, and I'm watching both picture intently, because we need to find out what happens with Ryan Martin and James King. Then this is it. This is going to be do or die for James King. He's tucked into the slipstream of Ryan Martin through Blanchimont. Thinks better of it, decides to tuck out for again. Is he going to make a lunge into the chicane? Your race leader though, Matty Isherwood, out of the chicane for the final time to take the win. A dominant performance here. Tom Stevens going to finish in second place. James King isn't going to get that position, but my goodness me, did he try. Ryan Martin will take that third place in the final step on the podium. It's then going to be Chris Pawley ahead of Chris Darnell. And then Chris Slater in 7th. Dan Berris is going to finish across the line in 8th position. Stu Etic, 9th position, with Harry Gardner in 10th. Ben Weston in 11th. Chris Boland in 12th. Colin Scott in 13th. Craig Dunn, though, is going to take the race win in the GT4s. Michael Clough dropping back towards that final lap there by about a second. So there's obviously been some sort of drama for Michael Clough on that final lap, but here we go then. Down towards the final couple of corners come the GT4s, and that gap's starting to come down very, very slightly for Michael Clough. I think it's too late. I think this is a done deal. Adam Barron in 3rd position ahead of Luke Arpino by 2.7 seconds. Dan Hardwick is going to have 5th ahead of Steve Ward, and then it's going to be in 7th position. It's going to be Fielding and Tate as well. But there we go. Brilliant race from Craig Dunn there. Michael Clough finishing in 2nd and Adam Barron in 3rd place. Take about everyone, because that was a fantastic first race of the evening. We've got a reverse grid wheel to draw very, very shortly. Indeed, we'll wait for all of the cars to make their way across the line to do that. We'll then also have some driver interviews potentially to have as well. But yeah, I hope you guys at home enjoyed that as much as I did. That was one of the best AFVRC races that we have had here, and that looked awful like when the cars just decided to disconnect immediately after going across the line there. So James Fielding crosses the line, and that is us done and dusted for race 1. Here's the reverse grid for race number 2. And it's an 8-car reverse grid. So 8 cars, that puts Dan Berris on pole position for our final race this evening, a final 15-minute race. So while we wait for the drivers to come in, we'll quickly go through the top 3 of both championships just now. Matty Isherwood taking the win for the GT3s. We'll go GT4s, excuse me. Craig Dunn then taking the win for the GT4s with Michael Clough in 2nd place. That could have been so different earlier on. Adam Barron taking 3rd. Luke Arpino in 4th. Dan Hardwick in 5th, Steve Ward in 6th, James Fielding in 7th, Michael Tate in 8th position, Matty Banyard finishing in 9th, and then Dave Russell and Duncan Steele in 10th and 11th place respectively. Moving on to the GT3s then, and it's Matty Isherwood taking a controlling win over Tom Stevens. 3.4 seconds the gap in the end there. Ryan Martin taking that final step on the podium with James King in 4th position, Chris Pawley in 5th, Chris Darnell in 6th, Chris Slater in 7th, Dan Berris in 8th, Stu Etic in 9th, Harry Gardner in 10th, Ben Weston in 11th, Chris Boland in 12th, Colin Scott in 13th, and Lyndon Noble rounding out the field for the Veterans GT3 in 14th position. So while we're waiting on drivers to pop in and have a chat with us, what we're going to do is we're going to take a very short commercial break, and when we come back we'll have hopefully some driver interviews. I did say it was going to be a very short commercial break, and there we go. Lo and behold, we're back immediately because we have got a full waiting room ready to come and have a chat with us. And let's have a little blether to who we have in just now. We've got, let's see, we've got Adam Barn, Michael Clough, and Ryan Martin. So let's have a chat with our GT4 contenders in a minute, but we've got our GT3 winner and race winner overall, Matty Isherwood. Matty, one of the quieter nights tonight.
It really was, and I wish most races were like that. Lack of drama. Just tried to keep it on the black stuff and try and break the toe to Tom, which was actually pretty difficult at the start, to be fair.
Now, given how difficult previous weeks have been with both the GT3s and GT4s, we were expecting absolute madness here at Spa, and it's just not happened. Do you think everyone's saving it for that second race?
I was just going to say, you've obviously remembered what happens in the reverse grid race, so yeah, I imagine it's not going to be the same, and hopefully not. Try and make it a bit more exciting for the viewers. Is it top 8 that are getting reversed? Have I understood that correctly?
Yeah, that's right. So Dan Berris is going to be on pole position. There's some good points for you, presumably tonight. Obviously, we have to work out what the driver performance index is. But given that you were at the front of the field and your pace was pretty solid, that's really all you can do, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. So I was trying to break the toe from Tom, but also try and keep as consistent as possible for the championship. I've had a quick look at the times, and hopefully I should be up there. So I had a difficult first half to the season, and hopefully I can pick up some more points towards the end.
So what is the top secret strategy then for race 2? How are you going to survive the chaos?
Maybe try and not drive like Max Verstappen and drive more like Hamilton, even though I'm actually a Max Verstappen fan.
That is a good strategy. We'll see how that one holds out.
Obviously, not putting myself in the same pace bracket, but yeah, we'll give it a go.
Well, fingers crossed, because it's been a sensational end of the season for you. So fingers crossed. We'll see you back on the podium, Matt. We'll speak to you later on.
Thanks a lot. Hopefully.
Well, fingers crossed then. So let's bring in Tom Stevens then, who finished in second position in that race there. Tom, welcome along. Race 1, not too bad, finishing in second position. Again, it was fairly quiet for you.
Good evening, guys. Yeah, it wasn't too bad, actually. I think the first couple of laps I thought I had the pace to keep up, but obviously it was quite obvious throughout when the race unfolded. He pulled away quite a bit, but that was fun, really. It's just trying to keep these cars stable, and Spa definitely tests that.
What's it like coming up through Eau Rouge and Radion with how loose these 992 Cup cars are?
I think overall, if you try and keep them steady and try and load the outside wheels up slowly, it's not too bad. So Rouge wasn't too bad to manage. It was more like pull on and stuff, trying to get it slowed down and stop it from understeering on there. That was quite difficult every lap.
Top 8 reverse grid, so that means that Dan Berris is going to be on pole position. What's going to be your strategy for this next race?
Dive bomb first corner. No, take it easy and just try and pick up places. People make mistakes, don't they? So just try and make advantage of those, but just try and keep the pace on and consistency up, but hopefully a nice clean race.
Good stuff, Tom. Well, look forward to hopefully getting a chat with you at the end of race 2.
Awesome, guys. Thank you very much.
Excellent stuff. Tom Stevens, who finished second place. Now let's have a chat to possibly the driver with the most perspiration tonight, Ryan Martin. Ryan, welcome to the commentary booth. How much sweat did you lose on that battle with James King there?
I think during COVID, I think everybody put on a bit of weight, didn't they? And I'll tell you what, I think I've dropped it all in that one race. That was some race. Hopefully you were able to see some of the overtakes and some of the action. Like, that was just outrageous. James was right behind me, then I was right behind him. It wasn't doing much for our consistent lap times, but I'll tell you what, it was good fun, and that's the main thing.
It absolutely was, and we caught the majority of the battle because it was one of the most intense battles out there. It was similar actually to the GT4 battle for first and second place, and what I'd actually said on commentary, Ryan, was that when you get in battles like that, you and James must leave that race absolutely grinning from ear to ear.
100%. thankfully in GT4 the same thing happened, because obviously Durant is sort of dominating there, but he certainly had a race in his hands this time. I think the longer tracks lend to better battles. On the shorter tracks there's more chaos and people going off, but on longer tracks you have more opportunity to set up overtakes and put pressure on people. So yeah, as long as it's viewed and as long as it's on the camera, then that makes it all worthwhile. But yeah, I mean, both of us, I'm going to speak to them after I've spoken to you guys, but yeah, that's the most fun I've had since we started this championship. So hopefully it continues.
Fingers crossed in towards race 2 there, Ryan. Thanks for joining us, and pass on our congratulations to James as well for an epic race.
Thank you. Enjoy the second race, guys.
Superb. Ryan Martin there finishing in GT3s in 3rd position. Let's switch tack then to the GT4s. Let's bring in your race winner then, Craig Dunn, taking another win. Craig, well done on the GT4 win. Obviously breaking the back of that horrible week at Brands Hatch last time out.
Don't remind me.
You were made to work for it tonight.
Yeah, it was a great race with Michael. He kept me honest.
Now, obviously, through that race, we saw that position changing, several times per lap, and you two were, giving each other as good as you got. But you could tell that there was a lot of respect between you two. Just enough car space given, but a couple of little nibbles here and there.
Yeah, it's great. The service is allowing that now. We can get nice and close and race tight, and not spear off into the distance. So yeah, we've learned lessons over the last couple of races, learning boundaries, and getting on with it.
And finally, Craig, ahead of race 2, obviously you're in the lead of the overall Drivers' Championship. At what point in the season do you think your brain's going to click and go, I need to start thinking about points now, or are you just always going to be going for it?
Race 1.
Fair enough. Any top secret strategies for race 2?
Try and be consistent.
Excellent stuff. Well, thank you very much, Craig Dunn there.
Cheers.
Taking the win in race number 1 for GT4. So let's have a chat with the man that held him to account, Michael Clough, who did an amazing job there in 2nd place. Michael, welcome to the booth. That was a bit epic, wasn't it?
It was a fantastic race, yeah. It was really good to mix it up with Craig, given his qualifying pace. I thought it was going to be a whitewash, but no, it was good. Managed to hang with him. I don't know whether he made a mistake, or I think I got a good run and got past him and stayed there for a couple of laps, and then switched again. Couldn't catch him at the end there, but it is what it is.
What happened on that final lap? Because we were seeing that the gap was fairly consistent between the two of you, and then on that last lap it kind of fell away to about a second and a half.
It's quite embarrassing, really. I was trying to find my flashlights button to thank him for a good race and hit the pit limiter. So
no, not like this.
Yeah, sadly.
Right, okay, so have you unmapped that button for race 2?
I'm just not gonna. I'll say thank you in the comms after.
That sounds like a good strategy. Michael, best of luck for race 2. We'll move on and we'll get a chat with Adam Barron as well. Thanks for that.
Cheers.
So there we go then. Let's move on then and have a chat with 3rd place in the GT4s, as we said, Adam Barron, after a brilliant fight there. Adam, welcome along, buddy. That was another thrilling fight that you had there for 3rd place.
Yeah, thank you. I was a bit annoyed with myself. I had a poor qualifying session and then a terrible first lap where I had a 3.5 second slowdown, so that put me back into 6th. And then me and Luke had a decent battle for a few laps. Managed to get past him. Saw that Michael and Craig weren't too far off, so I was hoping to catch him. And then I got held up terribly by a back marker in Eau Rouge, and that made me Luke back on me again. Managed to hold him off, and yeah, it was pretty quiet after that.
On that note, Spa is such an important track for momentum, and as you said, you get held up anywhere, and in these GT4 cars, you're dead in the water, aren't you?
Yeah, the gearing doesn't quite work out for us very well, so you're literally trying to keep momentum up, and also with this track as well, you try and run wide and things like that, and it gives you a slowdown or gives you a penalty, and it's hard to be consistent, especially around here for me. I'm finding it.
And what's your thoughts ahead of race 2? You've already got one race under your belt. Does that give you any intel going into the second one?
The track temperatures sometimes change as well, so the car handles differently. So I'll use a practice session to get a feel for it. But as we know, race 2 with the reverse grids are normally, interesting. So yeah, we'll see how we get on.
Excellent stuff. Thank you very much, Adam, for joining us in the commentary box, and we'll see you back out there on track.
Cheers.
So there we go, Adam Barron taking the final step of the podium for the GT4s, and we've already got cars back on track for our next race, so that will be just a couple of minutes away. But yeah, fantastic race there that we had. Matty Isherwood taking that race win there and sounding very, very happy about it indeed. So we'll take a very short commercial break, ladies and gentlemen, and when we come back, we'll have live build-up for race 2. A warm welcome back then, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are for race number 2. It's week 6 of the Armed Forces Virtual Racing Challenge, and David Christie here in the commentary booth with you. Of course, missing in action tonight, John Knighton. I'd love to think that he's off sunning himself. In fact, actually, if I remember rightly, I think he is actually on holiday this week, so that's all right for some. I'm up here in Scotland enjoying the beautiful, warm... I've just looked outside, it's definitely not warm, it's definitely not sunny. But we digress, because it is time to go racing yet again. We move to race number 2. Dan Berris taking the lead of the field. Chris Slater is going to be in second place. Chris Darnell in third, with Chris Pawley in fourth position. I'm not going to bother trying to read out the rest of the names, because they're all going to jiggle about as the cars go 2 by 2 during this short run down to the line. So the cars start off around about 3/4 of the way through, but remember, it's going to be Tate in the lead of the GT4s as well. Dunn is going to start at the back, or rather 7th position. It's not quite the back for the GT4s, but that is a glorious sight, and that is probably the only time that you're going to see all 25 of those cars so close together out on circuit. But we get ready to go live with race number 2, out the final corner, out the chicane, and the cars roar into life, and we get ready. Dan Berris takes the green flag, and look at the chaos go down. Let's listen to these cars run down to La Source. And there you go, contact already. That is a car off into the distance. That is Ryan Martin that gets collected and goes further down the field there. The GT4s have to try and avoid them there. We've got a car off into the infield as well. That's Craig Dunn, who goes all the way further down the order there. So, wow. Absolute madness going on right now in the GT4s. They all make their way up through Eau Rouge and Radion. Here comes the GT3s. It's Chris Darnell from Dan Berris. A little bit of contact up the inside. That's Chris Pawley on Dan Berris as well. And Berris has been absolutely mugged, losing that front position and going all the way down to 3rd position right now. Have a look at the GT4s though, and have a look at the back of that field, because as I said, that is Craig Dunn. There's cars everywhere. That is the only way I can describe it. Steve Ward tried to go around, but ended up going around and around and around the corner at Lake Hume there. Gets it back onto the black stuff, gets going again, and he'll be hoping that we don't remember what happened there. Tom Stevens, though, after a great performance in race 1, taking that 2nd place into 4th already onto the back of Dan Berris. There's Ben Weston for Veterans GT3, and that is not going well, and that's a car facing backwards. That is Tom Stevens, who again I delightfully put the curse on by saying he's doing a very good job getting up to 4th position, and now he's not in 4th position. Now he's all the way back down in 12th position after that spin. We've got chaos kicking off in the GT4s. Adam Barron in the lead ahead of Luke Arpino. In fact, Adam Barron is in a different postcode already. Luke Arpino 3 seconds behind, and that's a spin for Michael Tate at the exit of Lafania. That is going to be around the corner, and again he's going to be lucky to get back in the 23rd position. That was a big slide actually from Michael Clough there. You saw that on the exit of campus, and again that car, these GT4 cars are not shy at throwing themselves about here. But back up to the GT3s, they can see picture in picture, and well, what can only be described as almost an RAF lockout. We'll ignore the fact that Chris Darnell up in the lead of the race is in the British Army GT3 machine, but then we've got about 7 RAF machines following down in these GT3s. Let's see them going up through Eau Rouge and Radion there. You can see Dan Berris again struggling to hold on to that position. He's going to get James King on his tail very, very shortly. And I'm quite pleased that I've managed to resist all season doing any puns that are related to bogies on your 6 and anything vaguely related. Wow, I had to take a short, sharp inhalation of breath there as Dan Berris got that all wrong going into Lake Hume. watching Matty Isherwood then on the recovery drive then from starting down in 8th position. He's up to 4th already. James Fielding is trying to hunt down Matty Banyard, and what has happened now to Craig Dunn? Craig Dunn is down in 5th position, I believe, in the GT4s. So in fact, actually make that 4th position now in the GT4s, because just behind the number 22 of Michael Clough. So Clough getting the upper hand in this second race, but you can again just tell what a topsy-turvy race this has been out here tonight. Fantastic stuff to watch, very, very entertaining, but Matty Isherwood still trying to do that comeback drive from 8th position up into 4th just now. Let's have a look at what happened into La Source then. Now, we caught this live, and it was a hip check to Ryan Martin, and to be fair, that car in front didn't actually move. It was Ryan Martin that appeared to move into the path of that car in front there, but absolutely unintentional from both of the cars there, as we see James Fielding onto the back of Matty Banyard. Matty Banyard, actually, to be fair, onto the back of Dave Russell. So this is a nice little battle for 7th, 8th and 9th. We move to another replay. This is through lap 1 from the GT3s. This is the Veterans GT3 number 80 of Ben Weston, and that is a hard hit, and we have seen that many times in real life. He's certainly not going to be the last car to do that at the top of Eau Rouge and Radion, but perhaps as we know it, because of course from this year onwards you've got that dramatic new redesign as Chris Pauly takes the lead of the race. Chris Darnell down into 2nd place, but takes that position back on the brakes into Les Combes. So Chris Darnell back into the lead of the race, but Chris Pauly hounding that car up in front as well. And this is a wicked little battle here. Let's have a look at the GT4's contact with Steve Ward, and that was why all of the cars went wide into Les Combes for the first time of asking on lap 1 there. And Steve Ward did get back onto the black stuff, as I promised you. He did get recovering on that car. Currently down in 22nd position, and I believe that makes him about P9 in GT4 class. We're almost at the halfway point of this second race, and we're going to see lots of replays. This is Ben Weston again onto that right-hander there, and I get the feeling, yeah, that I'm wondering if it's some sort of hardware problem with that car, or maybe just too much damage from hitting that wall at the top of Radion, but it decides to retire that car. But as I said, halfway through the race, Tom Stevens now back up into 10th position. Was up into P4 before that earlier incident that we had here. And this was coming through Blanchimont here. A little bit of oversteer, and that's exactly what happens. The car gets sent across the curbing there. Very, very lucky that there wasn't any further incidents with that one. But again, doing the good thing there, and I have to praise Tom for that. Holding on to the brakes is the most important thing that you can do as a driver when you spin out. Unfortunately, I'm never one to take my own advice on that one, and usually take about 15 cars out with me. But that is irrelevant, because look at Tom Stevens tries to go late onto the brakes around the outside of Linda Noble, and this is a brilliant performance from Linda. Again, we would comment in race 1 about how unlucky Linda has been this season, and this is a much better showing from the Veterans GT3 machine. Tom Stevens is going to take that position, but that was always likely to happen. A little bit oversteer on the exit of that corner, and Linda Noble into P10 then. But again, a really, really good position so far at this point in the race here. Tom Stevens coming up through Blanchimont and Eau Rouge, as we see Michael take. This is what happened to Michael earlier on. You see, straight into the barrier, straight to the scene of the accident on the exit of Les Combes there. A little bit of damage on that GT4. And Matty Isherwood, come on, how has Matty Isherwood done it again? Up to the lead of the race, very quickly gets put back down into 2nd place. But, I mean, that is just insane pace from that car. That shows why he's such a contender for this championship with this late run of pace here. onto the back of Chris Darnell then, and you've got a 4-car battle for the lead then. You've got Chris Darnell, Matty Escherwood, James King, and you've then also got Chris Pavel into the mix as well. Chris Pauly, excuse me, and that's going to be a hit, isn't it? Oh, that is a big hit, and that is the number, was that number 5 on the number 87, and that is Chris Slater on the back of Chris Bolland there. I think Chris Slater might be off of the Christmas card list. And how wide do you want to go? Matty Isherwood, they say you cut the course, you're going to have to give up the time gain, son. And that is exactly what's happening, because have a look at James King. That's the run through Blanchemont. That could be a slowdown and losing that momentum as well. Chris Pauly trying to hold on to this as well. It's definitely going to be a cut track as the car's nearing 180 miles an hour onto the brakes into the chicane. Then you could see that James King was thinking about it. A little bump of the curb there, and have a look at this. Chris Darnell is very vulnerable on the exit. Matty Sherwood is going to try and take the lead on the run down to La Source then. We've almost got 3 wide coming into that first corner. Matty Sherwood round the outside. There is never any chance that's happening. And yet, he makes it look. What has happened to Chris Darnell? Chris Darnell spins it at turn 1, so Chris Darnell manages to be his own worst enemy, leading the race under all that pressure from Matty Isherwood. But have a look at James King, because this is now going to be a battle. James King is going to have the run up through Old Rouge and Radion, tucked under the wing of that Porsche 992 GT3 Cup car. And look at Chris Pauly. He fancies a go on this as well. We're almost going to go 3 wide. Surely not, guys. Surely saner heads have to prevail here. James King going to try and go right the outside at Lake Coombe. He's got Chris Pauly, his teammate, on the inside as well. Cracking battle. I said race 1 was one of the best races we've ever had. This blows it out of the water. The GT3's absolutely incredible pace that we've got going on here. Craig Dunn in the GT4s as well, up into 2nd position, 5.6 seconds behind your race leader Adam Barron. But that time is going to come down. Have a look at Luke Arpino as well. He's got Michael Clough in 4th position. Clough is going to tuck in behind that GT4 car. Again, going to get that run down the Kemmel Straight here. It's going to be a dive into Lake Coombe here. Look at Luke Arpino here. He's doing everything. He knows better. He keeps that car to the inside. It's going to be a wild late braking move from the pair of them, and that is going to benefit nobody. No way did we just see that from Michael Clough. Are you absolutely kidding me? To go round the outside of Lake Coombe with a car that looks like it's been hit repeatedly by an iron. What on earth did we just witness there? That was something truly special. Back to the GT3s then. Matty Isherwood in the lead of the race ahead of James King. Luke Arpino, what's he done? Luke, no. That is absolutely devastating. Oh, and he's trying to block Dan Hardwick as well, and there's big damage to that car. That is not going to fly. You're going to have to think there. He's trying to hold on to that position. The red mist descends, and again, a position I've been in many times myself there. James King, though, now trying to hold off that position from Chris Pauly. Yeah, there we go. That was always going to happen. As we see, going further down, Luke Arpino then is going to finish out of the top 5, and I would imagine possibly even into pit lane. But as I said, James King dropping off the back of Matty Isherwood there. 1.3 seconds is the gap now to your race leader Chris Pauly into the toe of James King. We've only got 2.5 minutes left to go. This is Dan Bettis. This was your pole sitter. Was looking so good. Now behind Tom Stevens there. Up through Old Rouge and over Radion. Again into the slipstream. It's so important here. He's now just 0.4 of a second back on Tom Stevens. But is he going to be brave enough? Is he going to think about making a move here? I can't see it happening. Way too far back. He's just going to have to think better of it. And not only that, he absolutely sends it into Lake Coombe there. Misses his braking marker by about 2 weeks. And ends up putting that car onto the grass and on the inside. Costs him a lot of time. Now he's into no man's land and not really going to have to worry about any other cars behind him. Chris Bolland, though, up into 6th position. He's now behind Stu Etic. Stu Etic having a much better race 2, is got to be said. Stu Etic had a pretty rubbish race 1, finishing down. I think he finished outside the top 10 there, but up into 5th position just now, so great to see that. But it's still Matty Isherwood in the lead of this race, and yet again a fantastic performance from that. But have a look at this. Here we go. It's Dave Russell on Duncan Steele into Lake Coombe. Late braking. Is there contact? Because it awfully looked like it. No, but that means that Hardwick sneaks up the inside there, and Duncan Steele down into 6th position there. Amazing race. Right, let's go back to Stu Etic here, because have a look at Chris Bolland all over the back of this race here. And wow, this has been thrilling stuff. Side by side, coming through Blanchimont on the brakes into the corner. That is going to be Chris Bolland's corner every single day of the week. But that also means that Chris Slater is now onto the back of Stu Etic as well, as we go into our final lap then. Matty Isherwood is 3 seconds clear of Chris Pawley. It's been another exemplary display out there. But I'm thrilled to say Adam Barron is easily going to take the win of this race as it stands on paper. 4.7 seconds ahead of Craig Dunn as we go side by side. Stu Etic trying to hold on to that position from Chris Slater. A little bit of contact, and this is starting to get a little bit ragged, a little bit sketchy between these two. We're going to go 3 wide down the Kemmel Straight, because of course we are. Why not? Tom Stevens decides to take both of them. I don't even know what to say, because I just don't understand what is happening in front of me and how it's actually possible. How is Tom Stevens just went through Radion at Eau Rouge and on the Kemmel Straight around the outside of 2 cars? That is ludicrous skill from Tom Stevens there to jump him up into P6 there though. But this is back with Chris Slater. He's got Stu Etic just behind him. Tom Stevens off into the sunset. Tom Stevens might actually get another position here. He is chasing down Chris Bolland. In fact, I think, Chris Bolland might be a little bit too far up. 1.4 seconds ahead of him there. But we look picture in picture with Matty Isherwood coming through the final couple of corners here, the final section of the circuit, through into Campus, through into Stavelot. And I'd love to say it's been a quiet race, but it's not. It's been a very eventful race. But my goodness me, has Matty Isherwood had to work for this second win tonight. It's been an awesome performance. Another driver having to work very hard. Duncan Steele trying to take that position away from Steve Ward, and he's done it. Steve Ward overcooks it into the corner and hands that position to Duncan Steele. But here we go then, Matty Isherwood through the chicane for the final time tonight. It's 2 out of 2 for RAF Motor Racing GT3, and across the line, a great win for Matty Isherwood. Chris Pawley in 2nd position, 3rd place for James King and the RAF eMotorsports GT3. It is a case of what could have been for Chris Darnell, who led for so long in that race. Chris Bolland's going to finish in 5th position, Tom Stevens in 6th, Chris Slater in 7th, with Stu Etic in 8th position. 9th position to Dan Berris, Lyndon Oble in 10th position. I think that might be the best finish for Lyndon Oble. Harry Gardner in 11th, Colin Scott is going to finish in 12th. Adam Barron though is who we are keeping our eye on just now in the lead of the GT4. You can see that picture in picture just now through Blanchimont for the final time, and another win in the season. A very happy Adam Barron is going to come across the line shortly for RAF Central Fund GT4. Just one more corner or 2 more corners to navigate through the chicane. It's been an exemplary drive. Adam Barron takes the win for GT4. Craig Duranto, I mean, what a performance to get 2nd place from that far back on the grid. We know he's got the skill, we know he's got the talent, and he's proved that tonight. Michael Clough again in a very well deserved 3rd position. 4th position is going to be Ben Weston, and then Luke Arpino is going to be in 4th, because of course Ben Weston in the GT3s. Luke Arpino in 4th, Duncan Steele in 5th, Dan Hardwick in 6th position, and then the rest of the cars just making their way across the line. Just now, we see James Fielding here trying to hunt down Dave Russell. Very, very late on the brakes, but that is not going to be enough. It's across the line, and that is the last of our finishers. We've got Matty Banyard and Michael Tate as well. What a great race. Ryan Martin, our only DNF from race 2 after that, I think that was a lap 5 incident that we had there, but what a race. Very, very happy to see that. A fantastic, fantastic result for all the drivers. And already we've got some drivers in. So let's have a chat with our race 2 winner then. Matty Isherwood is in the waiting room for us. Let's have a little chat with him. We'll just bring him in just now. And Matty, very, very warm welcome back for the second time tonight. Right, okay, that was insane.
Yeah, it was. The point at which we went through Eau Rouge, 4 of us basically on top of each other, I was so shocked when one of us didn't end up upside down.
No, we say that. You said that, and I was saying that before the race. I was expecting like really, really bad things to happen tonight, and we didn't have any of that at all. An exemplary display, but given the level of skill that we've seen throughout the season, Matt, should we be surprised anymore when we see that?
Well, first of all, sorry for not causing any crashes, because I'm sure that's we've let down on the entertainment side there, haven't we? But no, I think now that we're past the midpoint of the season, a lot of people are getting used to the car and really dialing in the setup and becoming more consistent, which allows us to have closer racing, and hopefully it'll be like that for the next few races as well.
So the great thing is because we're ahead of schedule, we've got a couple of minutes to talk. So Matt, tell us a little bit about this weekend coming up at Oulton, where you're going to be racing for real, and how does racing in the sim compare to that?
Sure. So this weekend I'm racing in Oulton Park in the National Legends Series for GS Needham Racing. It's a small kind of space frame chassis based on a US coupe car from the 30s and 40s, last century actually, with a 1250 Yamaha bike engine in it. So just think loads and loads of power, revs to 10,500, rock hard tyres as well. So you really have to drive it with the rear end on the limit. So not too dissimilar to the Porsche actually, to be fair. But yeah, it's my fourth car meeting, so I've had a podium and I'll be looking for hopefully better than that this weekend. It's one of my favourite tracks.
Yeah, having used to work up at Knockhill, we're no stranger to seeing the legends up there as well. Insane little cars, and the noise that comes out of them is quite the experience. Thankfully, you get to turn them down in your virtual Porsche. But anyone you'd like to thank or give a shout out tonight, Matt?
Yeah, so I've got a couple of people from the team watching, I think. I've got Chris Needham, who is my teammate, but he's slightly slower than me, so I'll be giving him some driving tips at the weekend. And I think maybe I've got a couple of my family members watching as well.
Oh, the banter. Well, Matt, congratulations. A stellar week for you this week, and hopefully some good points for you as well.
Yeah, really happy with that. We'll see where we stand in the championship now.
Excellent stuff. We'll see you next time out. Thanks very much for joining us.
Cheers, thanks a lot.
There we go then. Matt Isherwood sounding very, very happy, and you can understand why. Let's bring in, we don't have, we do have Chris Pauly, our broadcast director, Mike Yao, is so efficient. Chris is already in before I've even seen. Chris, good evening. Welcome to the podium. That was a crazy, crazy race.
Yeah, that was a hell of a race, especially towards the end then. I think when there were the 4 of us at the top of the hill, I didn't know how that was going to end, but it's worked out all right for me at the end. Obviously gutted for Kingy to have that slowdown, but obviously I've benefited from it and got the second place.
Now talk us through the early stages of that race, Chris. At what point did you think, oh wait, hang on, I could actually get a podium out of this? Yeah,
definitely. I mean, I was behind Chris Durnell and I started to see a gap in the mirror. I thought, in the last race, I was on pace with Chris, so I thought, to be honest, there's a chance for a win here, but it didn't take long for Kingy and Isherwood to catch up, and really pleased with second, to be honest, after the 4 of us were battling at the front there.
And obviously, we move on to Silverstone next week. What's your thoughts on that?
I think I'm just sticking with consistency and trying to keep out of trouble. That seems to be getting me some good results at the minute. I don't seem to quite be there in qualifying. Just haven't quite got the pace that they've got at the front, but I seem to be there or thereabouts in the races. So yeah, just keeping with this same tactic and hope it pays off next week.
Well, fingers crossed for you. Thanks for joining us tonight, Chris. Congratulations on a brilliant week, and looking forward to next time.
Cheers, thank you.
There we go. Chris Pauly, second place then. Let's have a chat with third place driver, James King. It could have been so much more, James, if it wasn't for that slowdown, but still, third place, that's a pretty decent night out at the races.
Yeah, I'll say fourth in race one, third now. Second would have been a bit nicer, but I just, for some reason, the last couple of laps, my braking was all over the place, and I'd already nearly got it wrong the lap before. And then, completely missed it. And that slowdown is very punishing. But yeah, it wasn't the worst result.
How much did it rub the salt in the wounds to watch Chris Pauly take that second place?
Yeah, it was, after the work I'd put in to get past him. While it's still team points, I'd like to have been the one to have earned them.
I think we're all in that position. But talking of points, I mean, obviously you came into this week down in down in 7th position. I mean, that is going to be some likely healthy points for you.
Yeah, I've had a couple of bad rounds sort of before. So obviously with Brandon's last week I did quite well, and now this week again another strong result. So I hope I should start clawing my way back up. And who knows, by the end of the season, I should be right up at the sharp end.
Well, we'll be watching this space for sure, James. Thanks very much for joining us, and we'll see you next week out at Silverstone.
Thank you very much.
So there we go, James King, third place in the GT3s. Let's move on to GT4s then, and Adam Barron onto the top step, the GT4 podium on the track. And Adam, it's a nice place to be, isn't it?
Yeah, the concentration tongue was out, trying to keep those consistent laps at the front. But it was a good race, that one.
And obviously, again, likely some big points. And given that you had quite a few races that you weren't able to make, you came into this week 8th position in the championship. That's not going to have been a bad day out.
No, it's looking promising. If I can finish sort of in the top 3 for the season, then I'll be more than happy with that. So just got to keep it up basically. But I say Michael and Craig and Luke as well. We're sort of all in a similar pace, so we're all in the mix.
When you see your relative come up and you see Craig Dunn has got into second place, is there like a little feeling of dread in your stomach?
Well, that happened in the last race and the first race of the season. So I've learned to. If I see he's behind me, then I just completely ignore that bit and just concentrate my lines and hope that he's going consistent lap times rather than gung-ho for me.
I tell you what, Adam, you're a better sim racer than me then. I crumble under the slightest of pressure, but congratulations, another brilliant win during the season, and moving on to Silverstone, we'll see you there.
Yeah, hopefully, thank you.
Excellent stuff. Let's have a chat then to Craig Dunn then, and second place for Craig. How do you keep able to just carve your way through the field like this, Craig?
Sometimes you just got to make some moves, haven't you?
Now, obviously, that second race was pretty hectic. It was very incident-filled, but you managed to navigate your way through all of that. What was that like from your point of view?
Yeah, it wasn't unscathed. Obviously, I went quite wide on turn 1 because I saw some chaos unfolding in front of me. Turns out I didn't go quite wide enough and got a car slamming into the side of me. And then unsighted through Eau Rouge, I cut the corner slightly and got a slowdown. So that lost me, 2 seconds down the Kemmel straight. And it was just fighting back from that. That was a good race. Enjoyed it.
Obviously, some good points for you on that one. What's your thoughts going ahead to Silverstone?
I like Silverstone. It's fast, it's flowing. We've already been there for part of the track, so I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome stuff. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming and joining us again in the commentary booth tonight, and we'll see you next time out, Craig.
Cheers, thank you. Bye.
There we go, Craig Dunn then, and rounding out our interviews for tonight, Michael Clough taking that third position in the GT4s. Another welcome return to the commentary booth. Michael, well done on third position, but at which point you must have a voodoo doll of Craig Dunn.
It's like we're magnetically attracted, but it's good racing with him. I think my plan in the first lap was to try and put as many cars between me and him as possible. And I was pushing for risky, putting my car in risky places and being a bit over ambitious. Ended up where obviously he got in front of me off the back of a slowdown I received, and then that was that really. But yeah, still just managed to follow him round, and Adam Barron was gone by this point, so I was happy to settle for third, to be honest.
Now, you were pulling quite a few wild moves, and you pulled them off very, very well in that second race there. What is it about that GT4 that seems to gel so well at Spa here?
I'm not too sure, because it's a typically quite understeery car, and it was red hot on the track as well, so they were pushing on a little bit, but I think possibly just the setup and maybe coping with it and anticipating it a little more than others made it look like it was easier to drive, but that really wasn't the case. It's a bit of a boat trying to get it around some of these sweeping corners.
Yeah, I can absolutely agree with you on that one from experience. It's like turn, please for the love of God, turn, and then you're off into the gravel. But some big points for RAFE Motorsports GT4 and the team on this week, and obviously Silverstone next week. Best of luck, Michael, and yet again thanks for joining us here in the commentary booth.
Thanks for having us.
So there we go, ladies and gentlemen, that is another week here of the Armed Forces Virtual Race Challenge done and dusted. Spa promised us so much chaos, so much shenanigans. Instead, what it delivered was some of the finest racing we've had so far this season. Next week, we move back on to Silverstone, and it's my good buddy John Knighton, who will be back after his holidays, joining me, David Christie, here in the virtual commentary booth. But from everyone here, from broadcast director Mike Viau, a huge thank you from everyone at RAFE Motorsports. A huge thank you and heartfelt thank you for watching tonight. Join us at the same time next week for more racing action from week number 7 of the AFVRC. Until then, have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time.